Welcome to the PromptWise. This is Corey. Today I'm going to show you 7 work tasks you can do with ChatGPT right now, even if you're starting from square one. And here's the key idea. Most people use ChatGPT like Google. They type in a tiny question and hope for something useful. But if you want better results at work, you need to use ChatGPT more like a work assistant. That means you give it a role, you give it context, you give it a task, you tell it the format you want, and then you review what it gives you. In this video, we're going to use ChatGPT for 7 practical work tasks: rewriting emails, summarizing meeting notes, creating project status updates, explaining confusing topics, building checklists, brainstorming better ideas, and turning rough thoughts into an action plan. By the end, you'll have prompts that you can copy and use today. Before we jump in to the 7 examples, let's fix the biggest beginner mistake. The beginner way of using ChatGPT is to ask tiny, vague questions like, "What should I say?" or "Can you make this better?" Sometimes that works, but usually gives you generic results. The better way is to give ChatGPT a job. For example, act as a professional communication assistant, or act as a project manager, or act as an executive assistant. Then give it the task. Rewrite this email. Summarize these meeting notes. Create a checklist. Turn these rough notes into a plan. And then give it a format: bullet points, table, email, executive summaries, checklists, or action plans. And finally, give it a tone: professional, concise, warm, direct, executive friendly, or beginner friendly. A simple formula is role, task, format, tone. Once you understand that, ChatGPT becomes more useful. Here's what we're going to build today. Task 1, rewrite an email, summarize meeting notes, create a project status update, explain a confusing topic in plain English, build a checklist, brainstorm better ideas, turn rough thoughts into an action plan. These are not complicated use cases, and that's the point. Most professionals do not need to start with an advanced AI agent on day one. They need quick wins that save time and improve the work they already do. The first work task is rewriting an email. This is one of the easiest and most useful ways to start with ChatGPT. We've all had that moment where we need to respond to someone, but the first version sounds too blunt, too long, too annoyed, or too robotic. And here's the prompt. Act as a professional communication assistant. Rewrite this email so it sounds clear, polite, and professional without sounding robotic, and then paste in your email. You can make this even better by asking for multiple versions. For example, you can say, "Give me 3 versions, 1 warm, 1 direct, and 1 executive friendly." That's powerful because you're not asking ChatGPT to invent the email, you're asking it to improve the tone and structure. My advice is never blindly copy and send. Read it, make sure that it says what you mean, and then adjust it in your own voice. The second task is summarizing meeting notes. This is where ChatGPT can save a lot of time. Most meeting notes are messy. You might have half sentences, random bullets, names, decisions, dates, and follow-up items all mixed together. And here's the prompt. Act as a project manager, turn these meeting notes into a summary, key decisions, action items, owners, risks, and next steps, and then paste in your notes. The magic is in the categories. Do not just ask, "Summarize this," ask for exactly what you need: decisions, action items, owners, risks, and next steps. You can also ask ChatGPT to put action items into a table with columns for tasks, owner, due dates, and status. This is especially useful after calls, project meetings, client meetings, or internal planning sessions. Task 3 is creating a project status update. If you work in a business, project management, operations, IT, or consulting, or almost any professional setting, you'll probably have had the opportunity to create some kind of update. The hard part is not always knowing what happened. The hardest part is organizing it so others can understand it quickly. And here's that prompt. Act as a senior project manager. Create a weekly project status update using these notes. Include executive summary, accomplishments, blockers, risks, upcoming milestones, and next steps, and then paste in your notes. This turns rough bullets into a structured update. You can also ask for a shorter version for leadership or a more detailed version for the team, and then or a risk-focused version for stakeholders. That's a practical use of AI at work, not replacing your judgment, but helping you communicate clearly. Task 4 is using ChatGPT to explain a confusing topic. This is a great use case when you're new to a subject, preparing for a meeting, or trying to understand something technical. The prompt is, Explain this like I'm a busy professional who is smart but new to the topic. Use plain English, an example, and a short summary at the end, and then include the topic. You can use this for things like APIs, agents, AI agents, data privacy, project methodology, healthcare integrations, finance terms, or new software tools. The phrase smart but new to the topic is important. It tells ChatGPT not to talk down to you, but also not to bury you in jargon. And then you can follow up with things like give me an analogy, give me a business impact, or what should I ask in the meeting about this? Task 5 is building a checklist. This is one of my favorite professional uses because checklists turn vague work into repeatable work. So here's that prompt. Create a step-by-step checklist for completing this task. Organize it into preparation, execution, review, and follow-ups, and then include your tasks. For example, you could ask it to create a checklist for preparing for a client meeting, launching a project, reviewing a document, onboarding a new user, planning a training session, or publishing a YouTube video. The structure matters. You want to include preparation, execution, review, and follow-ups. And that helps ChatGPT think through the full workflow, not just the obvious steps. Once you have a checklist, you can ask, what am I missing? Which steps are most important? Task 6 is brainstorming ideas. But do not stop at give me ideas. That's too generic. So a better prompt is give me 10 practical ideas for whatever your goal is. Rank them by easiest to start, highest impact, and best for a beginner. Explain why the top 3 are strongest. That prompt is better because it doesn't just produce a list, it adds decision making. You can also give it constraints like I have 2 hours, I have no budget, I'm a beginner, or this needs to work for a professional audience. Good brainstorming with ChatGPT is not about getting the longest list, it's about getting useful options and then narrowing them down. Ask it to rank, filter, compare, or explain. Task 7 is turning rough thoughts into a plan. This is the prompt I would use when my brain feels messy and I need structure. And here's that prompt. Turn these rough thoughts into a clear action plan with priorities, timeline, risks, and next steps. And then paste in your rough notes. You can paste messy bullets. You can paste rambling paragraphs. You can paste notes from your phone. ChatGPT can help organize it into something usable. And then ask follow-up questions like, what should I do first? What's the biggest risk? What could I delegate? Or what's the simplest version of this plan? This is where ChatGPT feels less like a search engine and more like a thinking partner. Once you understand these 7 basic tasks, you can start using more of ChatGPT's features. OpenAI's own ChatGPT capabilities overview describes features like file uploads, data analysis, voice canvas, memory, and deep research. File uploads can help you summarize or answer questions from documents. Data analysis can help you with spreadsheets or structured files. Deep research is designed for more involved research tasks with documented sources. Projects in ChatGPT are workspaces that can keep chats, files, and custom instructions together for a longer running effort. But here's my advice for beginners. Don't start by trying to learn every advanced feature. Start by getting good at simple, repeatable work tasks, and then add features when they solve a real problem. Your homework is simple. Just pick one prompt from this video and try it out at work this week. Don't try all 7 at once. Just pick one. Maybe rewrite an email or summarize meeting notes. Maybe turn your rough thoughts into a plan or build a checklist. And then pay attention to where it saved you time and where you still need to use your judgment. If this helped, please like and subscribe to the PromptWise for practical AI workflows at work. And comment below with which one I should build next. Claude for beginners, Gemini for beginners, Copilot for beginners, or AI agents for beginners. I'd like to build my base from beginner to advanced, so we're going to definitely get into more advanced topics. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.